All right, so now we're on handshake number 8, which is called a figure 8. Now with this figure 8, it's not going to start from a handshake position, but from a cross wrist grab. Now all of the original handshake techniques originally started traditionally from cross wrist grabs, and later on we will go through them from that position. The reason why we have the handshake techniques is number 1, for reference, because everybody does shake hands every single day, so it's a position that everybody knows. But number 2, because of safety. Once you get into those cross wrist grabs, what happens is the safety mechanisms that are inherent with the handshake techniques are no longer there. So it's good for beginners to start with handshake techniques and then go into the cross wrist grabs. But because number 8 is not conducive to do from a handshake position, we are going to do it from a cross wrist position. So he's grabbing me from this cross wrist grab here. Now what I'm going to do is make sure that I have my center line of my body. This is number 1 most important thing. You'll see a lot of people come up and around like this, but if he's stiff arming me right here, there's no way I can get this up and around. But if I move my center line here, then I can actually move his arm. Now this hand is going to wrap around his knuckles, especially around his index finger. My fingers are going to wrap around his thumb. Now from here, I'm going to move my center line across and then bring it back to his body. And I'm going to have my hand with the blade of my hand across the very beginning of his forearm, right at the juncture of his wrist as I'm still holding on. So again, it's 1, clasp, 2, center line with your whole body, 3, bring it back in, and as you bring it back in, I want you to step forward so you collapse in. Now from here, I'm going to take this index finger and I'm going to put pressure down and forward into his belly button. 1. Now from this position, I'm going to take 1 step back with a slide, so it brings him down a little bit more forward. And from this position, I'm going to step in just slightly, and I'm going to throw that knee right into his face or into his sternum. All right, so from the other side, same thing, it's a cross wrist grab. Once again, the thumb is grabbing the index finger of the grabbing hand. The fingers are grabbing the thumb. Compress these, do not let them go, because if you have a soft grip, what happens is you lose everything. So you want to make sure that you have around that index finger and around that thumb. The other fingers really don't matter. Center line it, lower your body, turn. Turn back, and make sure you're stepping in, collapsing in, and roll that hand. And as you do this, start lowering everything towards the center of your body, or tanjun, which is center level, which is around the belly button. 1, slide back, and throw that knee. All right, now at speed, it should look just like this right here. Ha! And that is handshake number 8, or the figure 8. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to give a quick supplement for handshake number 8, which is the figure 8. And so with this handshake, what happens is this cross wrist grab. Sometimes people have a hard time getting this knife hand blade over the wrist. So we have another supplement, which is just a C grip grab to make sure that you can still perform this technique. And this is usually for people that are smaller and don't have that much strength. So what happens is we're in the same grip position. Remember, you want to make sure that you get that grip on the index finger with the thumb, the fingers across the thumb here. Make sure that you lower your body position, and then from here I'm taking that step forward as I turn my body, and I'm collapsing his arm in, and I'm bringing everything toward the center of his body. So just think solar plexus level. Now from here, I want to make sure that my elbow is close to his elbow, but instead of keeping a knife hand position, I'm going to roll and create a nice C grip. With my fingers on top, my palm is down, my thumb is facing out towards my elbow. Now from here, I'm going to bring my body in. I'm going to still bring my fingers down towards his belly button, but I'm going to treat this like revving an engine on a motorcycle, or revving the handlebars of a motorcycle. So it should look like this right here. Now as I do that, I'm leaning my body in and stepping backward. So from the other side, it should look just like this. So 1, grips on the index finger and the thumb. 2, lower. 3, stepping, collapsing, elbows close together. This center line of his body. From here, I'm bringing my body in, but I'm turning my palm down and I'm rolling in. And as you roll in, don't just think roll down, roll slightly to the angle towards his elbow. From here, my body comes forward and that slide back. And there's that knee. Okay, so with this, at speed, it should look like this. Ha! Now, one thing you want to consider as you're doing these is to take this slow, because this will put a lot of pressure on the wrist. So going slow, as he starts to feel pain, especially at a beginner level, he needs to make sure to learn how to tap. Because if your wrists aren't used to it, or if you're too tight or tense, you will get broken. So that is one thing that you want to make sure to do right away is tap. Anytime you feel that pain, tap. Don't try to be a superhero, because you will end up getting broken. Thank you.